first start off with foundation. I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever HD foundation, and I took that and mixed that with MAC Luster Drops just to kind of give it like a dewy, satiny finish. So I did 2 pumps of foundation and maybe a drop and a half of Luster Drops, and I mixed it up. Next step is to fill in your brows. I'm using the MAC Brow Crayon in Spiked. I'm going to add a little concealer on the lid so we can prep those eyes for the shadow that we're going to be using. For the eyeshadow base, I'm using the E.L.F. cream liner. The name and the color of this one, I believe the name is purple, but if you look at it, it's just purple. So if you get your hands on that E.L.F. cream base, slather some of that right on those lids, being somewhat generous with it, but not too much where it will crease. I'm going to take Creep eyeshadow from the palette, which is kind of like a dark smoky black, and it's got shimmer in it. Using that and a blending brush, I'm going to start applying that color on the outer corners of my eyelids. And you can make this as dark as you want it to be. It just depends on your preference. It depends on how you want your makeup to look. It really all just depends on you. And then around the edges of that with a clean, fluffy brush, this is the MAC 224, I'm blending that out. So we get a softer, smoky look. When in doubt, keep on blending, girl. If you feel like it's starting to look raccoonish, that means you probably didn't blend enough. And don't worry, practice does make perfect. Ooh, I kind of like that on its own. I like purple. Okay, so next I'm going to take from the palette Toasted, which is that really, really pretty pinkish burgundy shimmer. That color is going on my eyelid. You want to avoid where that black area is that we applied earlier. love this color. I love this palette. This palette is superb, seriously. Anyhow, I'm just packing that color onto the lid. I'm going to blend that outer V color a little bit more. Then I took an E.L.F pigment. This color is number 86. And all I did is just took the cap of that with my finger and sprinkled a little bit of that on my lid. I really didn't want it like too heavy. I just kind of wanted it sparingly. And voila. Blend a little bit more if need be. I'm gonna add some of that MAC Studio Finish under the eyes. Just to even it out just a little bit for now, because I'm going to be adding more concealer later. Next, I'm using MAC Select Cover Up Concealer under the eye. I'm going to highlight a little bit my forehead and along the bridge of my nose. Just a little bit. And this step will vary. You don't have to do this. This is just a personal preference. I think that the most important step with prom makeup is if you don't feel confident in doing something, first of all, start off small. Start off with a little bit of product and then work your way up. And if you're just really not, if you really don't feel like you can achieve the desired look, I wouldn't even bother with this. Skip it, Now I'm just blending that out with a blending brush. And you are more than welcome to use whatever steps or products to suit your skin, your face, your budget. This is just, what I like and what I got. There's plenty of replacements out there, replicas and duplicates. So next we need to set that under eye concealer so we prevent creasing. I'm going to be using the Invisible Setting Powder by MAC. First I'm going to apply a little bit with a sponge. And when I mean a little bit, I mean a little bit. It's really not as bright as it looks on camera or in person. The lighting is making it look darker than what it is. It's really not a lot of product. And then using that same blending brush, I'm buffing that out. Now since I have an oily T-zone, which is this area in here, I'm also going to put some of that powder along the bridge of my nose and my forehead, because that is where I get the shiniest. And if you're going to be photographed, this is going to be a pretty big night, prom. If you're going to be photographed, you don't want to look too glistening. You don't want to look too shiny. So that setting powder will soak that right up. I'm using a sponge. And once again, I'm not using as much product as it may look on camera. I start off with very, very little. And I'm basically patting and pressing that down. And then that foundation brush I used earlier, I'm going to just brush that out. with back and forth motions as well as circly blending motions. And then along under the eye where I applied it for that concealer. To set my foundation with a powder, which will also help reduce shine, I'm going to use the Mineralized Skin Finish by MAC. Setting your foundation with a powder helps tons with reducing shine. So you can either use these or, you know, you can use whatever powder of choice, but I like this one because it kind of, it has a very, very light coverage, so it won't make your foundation look too heavy. And I've been using this one for years. You guys have seen this even in my older videos, and I just have yet to really find something that I like that gives that natural finish without looking too heavy. So you can either brush that on or use a poof like I do, because I like to look matte. And if you want to look matte, I would definitely recommend to press it on. Next, line the inner rim of your eyes with a black liner. I'm using Smolder by MAC. I'm also going to line the outer corner of my eye. I'm going for kind of like a smudged, smoky look. And I'm only doing the outer V because I kind of want like a cat eye effect. If we apply the liner all over the eye, it'll look pretty, but if you want the ends to lift a little bit more, just apply it on the outer corner. And then I'm taking a liner brush to smudge that out. Going back to the palette, I'm using Hustle eyeshadow. And that same liner brush I was just using. And that's going along the bottom of my lash line. So lashes for this look are optional. I'm going to skip them, but it just depends on how you want it to look. So I'm going to go right into the mascara. I'm using Maybelline's Lash Stiletto. Alright, now that we've got the eyes out the way, it's time to bring back some glow to the rest of the face. I'm going to bronze with the CoverGirl Queen Collection bronzer. If this is tricky for you, make the fish face, and that's where you contour. Basically the low points of your cheekbones, the parts that recede or the parts that poke in, is where you would apply bronzer and contour. Along the temples as well, and along the jawline. So in the picture, Kristen Stewart is almost looking like she's not wearing any blush, but there is no way in hell I'm getting caught dead without some kind of color on my face. So I'm going to use NARS Dolce Vita. It's just a regular soft pink. If you don't have that, you can use anything that's got like a bubblegum hue to it. And I'm not using a lot. Just a little bit on the apples. And there you go. I'm already a little warmed up. I'm going to put a little MAC Cream Cup lipstick on the lips. So we get a nice sheer pink. And then a little Floor Abundance lip gloss by MAC.